Welcome back, BBFL fans. It's time for the triumphant return of the coin. Ripping it off from some NFL fan on Twitter. Did it last year. You can see a little of my testing here. Sorry about that. We, for Bowl Mania Pick'em, are going to flip a coin for every bowl game that's out there and see what the results are. So, starting off, first column will always be heads. Second column will always be tails. First up, Miami, Ohio, UAB. That is tails. Next up, UTSA versus Troy. Go Roadrunners. That one fell off the table. That one is tails. Next up, Cincinnati versus Louisville. Battle for Ohio River is heads. Go Cincy. Next up, Jackson State versus North Carolina Central. You guys see that? That is heads. 2 heads, 2 tails. Florida versus number 14 Oregon State. That was a bad flip. That's a shot. There we go. Another heads. Next up, Wazoo and Fresno State. That wasn't going to flip either. Really worrying about getting on camera. That's a tails. Rice versus Southern Mississippi. That was a head. Next up, SMU BYU. That was off the table. Looks like that's going to be heads. Next up, North Texas, Boise State. Did I see that one? Yeah, that's a tails. What quarter are we using? $250 Maya Angelou, look at that. Next up, Marshall versus Yukon. That was a heads. Eastern Michigan, San Jose State. That's a tails. Liberty versus Toledo, our first action of the night. That is a tails. Western Kentucky versus South Alabama. Fell off the table. That one, yep, that's a tails. Baylor and Space Force. That's a heads. Louisiana and Houston. Tails for Houston. Wake Forest versus Mizzou. Going towards Mizzou. Middle Tennessee versus BBFL fan favorite San Diego State. That one is heads. New Mexico State versus Bowling Green. Which I didn't know until recently was in the back somehow. I don't know how I missed that. Heads for New Mexico State for the Aggies. Scroll down a little bit. We got Georgia Southern versus Buffalo. Some more action. That's heads. No love for the MAC today. Memphis, Utah State. Can't see that one, that is heads. Coastal Carolina versus East Carolina. All for the Carolinas, and that's going to be a tails. Wisconsin, Oklahoma State. Some Big Ten action now. Some heads. So go Big Ten there. UCF versus Duke. That's the result I wanted. Heads. Kansas versus Arkansas. Going with Kansas. Would have preferred the Razorbacks there, but oh well. We praise the almighty coin. Northern Carolina versus number 15 Oregon. That's going to go to the ranked team. Texas Tech versus Ole Miss. That is heads. Syracuse versus Minnesota. We got a spinner. And it's going to be heads for the orange. Oklahoma versus number 13 Florida State. That's a tails. Number 20, Texas versus number 12, Washington. Heads. Lloyd Norris Jr., Penix Jr., Washington quarterback, said he's going back to the NCAA for another year. I really liked the game I watched with him. I was hoping he'd go to the Colts. Maryland versus number 23, NC State. That is heads, going against the Wolfpack. Pitt versus number 18, UCLA. That one's going to go to the Fighting Pitt. What's Pitt's mascot? I can't remember. The Yinzer? Coin fell off before I said anything. Number 21, Notre Dame versus number 19, South Carolina. That's going towards the Fighting Irish versus the Fighting Gamecocks. Some more action. Ohio versus Josh Allen's stomping grounds of Wyoming. Looks like Bills Mafia will ride again. Tails. All right, we got our first New Year's Six Bowl. Number 6, Tennessee, and number 7, Clemson. The last second turn is going to give that one to Tennessee. I like the sound of that. Number 5, Alabama, and number 9, Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. It feels really good to say number 5, Alabama. That was a good flip. Well, the coin is going for Alabama. I'm going to be rooting against myself there. Iowa versus Kentucky. That one goes Iowa. The Fiesta Bowl is in our first college football playoff. Number 3, TCU versus number 2, Michigan. Really? TCU with the upset here. Which puts TCU here. And our second playoff game, the Peach Bowl, number 4, Ohio State versus number 1, Georgia. That one also goes with the upset. Heads for Ohio State. Actually, I'll get to that because I should probably randomize which one is that. Number 22, Mississippi State versus Illinois. Tails for a Big Ten team. Number 16, Tulane versus number 10, USC. That is going to be. That was cocked by the tripod that this is hanging on, so I'm gonna do that for legality's sake. Heads for Tulane. Number 17, LSU versus Purdue. Fell off the table. Heads for LSU. Number 11, Penn State versus number 8, Utah. Surprise Pac-12 champions. Gonna go to Utah there. Okay, so we have the coin predicts TCU and Ohio State to win their playoff games. I'm gonna flip a coin. I guess no, it doesn't actually matter because it's 50-50 either way. It doesn't. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Number 3, TCU versus number 4, the Ohio State. Ugh. All right. According to the coin, who is infallible? The winner of the 2022 college football playoff between TCU and Ohio State will be God damn it. Okay. Tails for Ohio State. I'll keep this updated as it goes along, and I will try to get James to let me put a pick in the BBFL group. Obviously not for points, but here's another rundown. Our winners will be UAB, Troy, Cincinnati, Jackson State, Florida, Fresno State, Rice. I'm not going to go through all that, sorry. Okay. Peace.